Let me ask you something. What if the way you think about it is just wrong? What if you have in mind how you think something should go and it's just not right? What if you have in mind, I think the relationship should go like this, I think it should happen this way, but you haven't thought about all of the possibilities? That is a factor. Too often we are so caught up in the way that we think that we ignore and dismiss the way something could really be. And that is usually detrimental to us because it's not fair. It's not fair to think and to see everything just from your perspective. It is important, no matter what kind of relationship you're in, whether it's a job, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's just you and your good friend. It is so important to sit on the other side and think about how they may feel. That is crucial. And when you don't do that, when you don't look at yourself enough or evaluate how you come or how you present yourself, you'll find yourself losing people. And you may be comfortable saying there's something wrong with everybody. But me and my BFF, we are always checking ourselves. When we are not sure, she'll reach out and go, sis, okay, help me out. And I know you're going to keep it 100 with me. I know you're going to keep it 1,000. Tell me this, and this. And we'll both sit, listen to it, figure it out, think about how they could feel. And even if we don't agree with what that other person could feel, we still have explored it and thought about it, and it helps us to go back in the situation and go, okay, wait a minute, let me apply some grace, let me just back up because I don't have everything right. You always need somebody who will check you, who won't just say, girl, you good, don't worry about people. No, because sometimes it really is you. Sometimes you haven't thought about all the possibilities. And I say that to entrepreneurs too, because if you're thinking about starting a business, you need to go in and evaluate everything that you think about that company. Because you're set and intent on not doing things like the company did when you may not even understand all of the ins and outs, because boundaries are important. Rules, policies, procedures, those are boundaries. Let me give you a good example. I was working with an entrepreneur, trying to work with, I should say, the epitome of unorganized. But what got me the most was that she had so many people on payroll, and everybody would just turn in their time whenever and get a check. There was no system. It wasn't like she paid over 2 weeks or whatever. She had become so close to the employees, they would be like, okay, I haven't been paid in this time. There was no checks and balance. There was no system. One of the first things I uncovered was somebody very close to her who had been literally stealing money. That was so difficult. It was difficult for her. It was difficult for me because I had to say it. And even then, in the end, we ended up parting ways. There was a lot that needed to be done. And she couldn't figure out why she didn't have the money, but that was why. And no, everybody noticed she didn't have a system. So they were reporting days and different things because she did not have a system of payroll starts on Monday and it ends on Sunday. And you should have seen the fight. I did 2 payroll cycles for her before the people just went bananas. And like I said, the uncovering of it, it was a lot. And she had been doing business like this for so long. So like I said, we end up parting ways. But I thought, oh my gosh, the lack of boundaries was about to send her to bankruptcy. Now, here's the thing, the people never thought about, you know, a lot of times as an employee view, you look at companies and think, oh, they got money, they got money. But if you think everybody that has money that pays you, if you look at it as they have unlimited resources, That's a lot. That's the reason why you don't have any resources. Because even when you have a lot of money, it's not unlimited. You always have to make sure that your money is making money, that you're not spending or investing bad or spending faster than you're making it. You have to watch everything. You got to watch your passive investments, your active investments, the places where you're actively getting money. People with more money, they watch and look more, because what they understand is I might look like I'm balling today, but I could lose this in one fell swoop or if I'm not careful. And that's the problem when you don't have it and you don't understand money. You think, oh my gosh, if I had $1 million, I would have unlimited resources. No, you wouldn't. $1 million today really doesn't take you that far, depending on where you live. And anytime you get to the point in the South that a lot of houses are going for almost $500,000, you know it's something wrong, and you know the economy is off. So I said all of that to say you have to manage whatever it is that you get. You have to manage and you have to set boundaries and limits. Whatever it is that you are a part of, whether, and it's not just money. I use a money example because most people understand money and they think about money, so naturally they'll listen. But emotionally, you have to balance yourself. You can't be all things to all people. You got to make decisions. You got to decide, okay, wait a minute. Do I have space for this, this, and this? Some people are not worth holding space for. They are not going to change. They literally have no desire to. They're just using you to dump. And so whenever a person can dump on you, that's what they're going to do. You have to make decisions, and part of those decisions are boundaries and cutting people off, and that doesn't always feel good and it's not always easy. However, it is always necessary. And before you start making judgment calls on what is and isn't, always go back and check yourself. Figure out what you know. Do you know how many people go into business and they've heard bits and pieces, and then by the time we talk, they're like, wait a minute, that's not what I heard. Wait a minute, that's not. So they've been building a business on a little bit of data. And then to find out that data isn't enough to really build on, because half a truth, part of the truth, part of data is a whole lie. So I get people all the time when it's tax time. Oh, I made under 40,000, so my taxes should be fine. Well, who told you that? I don't care what you made in your business. If you made 40,000 and you have also a job, you're going to end up paying taxes. And one thing that a lot of people don't know, and that'll be a whole nother video, is that when you have a gig job where you get a 1099, or you have a business on the side, you pay self-employment tax. So everything can't be written off. And some things you're going to end up stuck with if you do not understand what you're doing and you're not looking at that month to month to month. Just make sure that you evaluate yourself. If you don't do anything for yourself, start now before you go to 2026, and find you a system of evaluation of your actions, your finances, your emotions, so that you can see what you're doing, what you're planting, if what you're putting out is growing, if you're giving the wrong people too much time, all of that, because all of those things add up and they become part of who you are and part of what you're receiving and part of what you're not receiving. And you're trying to get answers, but you're doing it thinking you already know. And sometimes what you don't know, well, no, not sometimes. The Bible tells us that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. So your lack of reflection on you is literally killing you. It's been your girl, Candid with Kim. It's been your girl, the Queen Bee. I just want to see you win.